Welcome back to our Module 3 on assessing respiratory system mechanics. Today, we'll learn how to separate our assessment of the resistive load from that of the elastic load. Until now, we could tell that something was wrong if the pressures applied were delivering a lower tidal volume than what we would expect in a normal patient. Let's look at our simplified model of the respiratory system. Here, our piston has to generate 40 centimeters of water above PEEP to push 350 ml of gas through the tubing into an elastic chamber. Clearly, either this tubing is too tight or this elastic chamber too stiff. If you were to measure pressures at a certain point in this system to differentiate between these two hypotheses, where would you do it? Well, if we measured pressures at the opening of the elastic chamber and we saw that they were 38 centimeters of water, where would the problem be? Clearly, the problem was not in the areas, since only 2 centimeters of water were required to overcome the resistive load. However, 38 centimeters of water were used to distend the lung chest wall with only 350 ml, which is a lot of pressure. This indicates that the elastic chamber is very stiff. Say, in another case, the pressure measured at the opening of the elastic chamber was 10 centimeters of water. This means that out of 40 centimeters of water generated by the ventilator, 30 were used to overcome the resistive load of the areas, and only 10 were needed to distend the lung and chest wall, which probably have normal compliance. This indicates that the problem was with the areas. The main question now is, how do we clinically measure pressures at the alveoli, which is our equivalent to the elastic chamber? The pressure measured by the ventilator and displayed in the screen is measured at the airway opening, right there. The pressure up at the airway opening is not equivalent to alveolar pressures. Why? Well, some pressure is used to overcome the resistive load of the tubing and never reaches the alveoli. The pressure distending the alveoli is the total pressure generated by the ventilator minus the pressure used to overcome the resistive load of the areas. To separate the two, first, we deliver our tidal volume. Then we stop flows doing what we call an end-inspiratory hold maneuver. We don't add any additional gas to the circuit, nor do we let any gas escape. All the pressure in the system at this point is being generated by the elastic recoil of the lung-chest wall combo, which have been distended by the volume of gas inside it. In the absence of flows, there is no more pressure being used to overcome area resistance. Therefore, the pressure generated at the elastic chamber can now equilibrate through the system and is now able to be measured at the area opening. This pressure, generated by the elastic recoil of the lung's chest wall, measured at the area opening after an end-inspiratory hold, is the famous plateau pressure. The plateau pressure is our estimate of end-inspiratory alveolar pressures. Let's look at some cases. In case number 1, we see that this patient, ventilated on APV, is requiring 25 centimeters of water above PEEP to get quite small tidal volumes in the 200 cc range. We then ask ourselves the question, is she needing this much support because of a lot of pressures being used to overcome the resistive load of the areas, or a lot of pressure being used to overcome the elastic load of the lung chest wall? We click on the Tools option and perform an inspiratory hold. Once we are done delivering inspiratory flows, we stop flows in either direction, as you can see from flows being equal to 0 now. Alveolar pressures now can equilibrate, and the pressure we're measuring at the ventilator or area opening is now the plateau pressure, which equals here to 33 centimeters of water, very close to our peak pressure. This indicates that very little pressure was used to overcome the resistive load of the areas. Therefore, the problem with this patient is that she has a pretty stiff lung-chest wall combo. Her lungs and/or chest wall have low compliance. Another way to think about this is that at end expiration, right before the tidal volume was given, alveolar pressures were equal to PEEP, so 8 in this case. After delivering only 250 ml of gas, alveolar pressures increase remarkably to 33 centimeters of water, indicating very poor compliance. Look at this other case. We're in pressure control, and we can see that with the 35 centimeters of water of pressure above PEEP that we're giving, we're only getting about 400 ml of tidal volume. In someone with normal respiratory system mechanics, we would expect much higher tidal volumes for this large amount of pressure. But this patient did not have a normal respiratory system. But what was his problem? Well, this time, once we deliver the tidal volume and close both inspiratory and expiratory valves during our hold maneuver, we measure alveolar pressures of only 17. This tells us that 28 centimeters of water were used to overcome the resistive load of the airways. The lung-chest wall combo, though, had normal compliance. Alveolar pressures only increased from 8, our PEEP, before addition of the tidal volume, to 17, the plateau, after the addition of those 400 ml or so. To summarize, at any given time, airway pressures minus alveolar pressures will tell you how much pressure is being used to generate inspiratory flows, overcoming the resistive load of the airway. The increase in alveolar pressures from PEEP to plateau, which are the alveolar pressures before and after the tidal volume is delivered, tells you how much pressure was used to overcome the elastic load of your lung and chest wall. This difference between PEEP and plateau, the increase in alveolar pressures with the addition of our tidal volume, is the famous driving pressure. That is it for today. I hope you're enjoying this dive into mechanics. This is incredibly important to understand extremely clinically relevant concepts that are coming ahead. I'll see you in the next video.